Okay, it's 5 o'clock, Wednesday, March 10th, 2021, and we're going to start the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, approval of the minutes, Select Board Meeting 3/10/2021.
I think we might want to change that to 2/17.
Oh,
Yeah, since
I don't know.
that's
Today
today.
is 3/10.
We haven't even finished the meeting. How do we approve
Does
the
anybody have
minutes?
an extra agenda?
It's on the chair over there.
Oh,
It was on my side, so. Sorry, Jody.
no worries.
Apparently I had trouble dealing them out.
Okay, we're good.
2/13?
It's 2/17.
2/17.
So I will make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
Second? All in favor? Great. Item 3, review of treasurer's warrants, payroll 16, 19, 21, accounts payable 14, 15, 17, 18, and 20.
Make a motion to approve A and B as read.
Second?
All in favor? 3 in favor. Open session? None today or currently. Moving right along, old business. State of Maine shoreland zoning and forestry. And I think Jerry Peters is here to help us with this, or may have some input. So,
I don't know if I'm here to help. I was here, Bernie told me that you guys had selected option 1.
Well, I'm going to recommend you select option 1. After talking to Tom Gilbert, who is the district forester, because he said that this only affects commercial forestry jurisdiction. We never had the commercial jurisdiction anyway. And I had him clarify for me. I said, I just want to confirm that I understand one point clearly. If the timber harvest is not commercial or the property is less than 2 acres, the Forestry Service does not have jurisdiction. The town will still deal with property owners who want to get a better view by cutting down trees. Yes, you're correct. That would fall under clearing or removal of vegetation for activities other than timber harvesting in your ordinance. So we could still control that, and you could still issue the
permittable stuff.
The permittable stuff and tell them what's not permittable. With commercial harvest, they just turn in a harvest intent to harvest form. Mm-hmm. They get them here, but we never see them. They turn them into the state, and so it's not something we really have much jurisdiction over.
And the forestry mails a copy back after it's approved to George, which he files.
Eventually, yes. But the intent to harvest, you can file send the intent, do your harvesting, and be done before the paperwork ever comes back around. So it's not a good process for monitoring anybody. It just kind of lets the state know who's out there. But I also talked to, there was another person on the letter. Her name is Dawn. And she says that she will put together a boilerplate shoreland zoning and forestry and shoreland zoning ordinance for us, and then the planning board could look at it. Because there are some changes, as you mentioned, at the last planning board meeting I attended.
That one?
There are some changes that need to be made in our shoreline zoning where we aren't up to state standard.
Yeah.
She started listing stuff, and it's, she's talking about wading bird, nesting habitat, and this, that, and the other thing. And I told her that if I had a vote tonight, I would call her and have her make up this boilerplate, and then you guys could work with that in the hopes that we could have it done in time to pass it at the annual town meeting.
Yeah. But it's something that we've got to do.
Yes.
But our latest revision is 2000.
Wow.
And they had demanded that we adopt 2006, which included some of this forestry stuff in it, and people didn't want it. So we never pursued that, but we're gonna have to. And we have nothing in ours that's any stricter than what the state has.
So which is what you actually do with option one, is you'd adopt the state's,
Minimum, it really is the minimum.
the state's
right.
minimum.
You can do more, but I guess what's puzzling is we didn't adopt. What were the consequences?
We went,
We still had to follow the state rules, even though the community said, we don't want to adopt them.
right, still involved.
Right, you don't.
Right.
I
So
think
it's
the
really-
difference was in enforcement. Because if we choose option one, we don't have to enforce any of this commercial, and we don't enforce it now, and we have no practical way
Right.
to enforce
We don't have
it.
a leg to enforce it anyway.
Right.
That's the beauty of option one, it takes that away from us and makes them.
But it shouldn't slow down the process in the summer of you permitting people, you know, at camp lots or those kind of
Right.
things. So I think,
That was our concern with option one, that I felt like from reading it, that they would manage all forestry, and there was forestry like you had to in your camp. And our feel was that if it took a Department of Forestry permit before we could issue one, people would be 2 or 3 months in here just to get a permit to jack up a camp or to
yeah, and,
cut a couple trees.
But you don't see that kind of a conflict.
no,
No.
that's
This is strictly commercial based harvesting, basically.
basically, yep.
It would actually take a lot of things out of the
Yeah.
ordinance as it is right now for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, which would be okay.
Which would be okay, in which if George saw something, he could call the forestry department and say, hey,
Correct.
this is
That's
yours to-
true.
This is yours to deal
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
Right, we still have that leg.
Yep,
Yeah, in fact, I think that paperwork actually is posted at the landing somewhere. The forester can see that you've properly, I don't know if this is specific to shoreland, but any harvest.
intend to harvest, you have to post it on your property.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. So, for that reason, one of the reasons we picked option two is we didn't want to lose control in shoreline zone. We wanted to be able to issue a permit for somebody, as long as they did what they were supposed to. And secondly, we've been exercising option two. Unwittingly, George, he takes care of what he feels he can take care of, and if there's something that he's uncomfortable with, even in shoreline zone, he calls them and talks to them about it, the Department of Forestry. So, and from my conversation with George, that's what we had been doing. He's comfortable with it. He didn't like the sound of option three at all, because that
No.
puts the whole burden on us. And
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
have to set probably standards that are higher than the minimum. I mean, your standards have to be different than the state's, so therefore they have to be higher, because you can't, they're
Right,
not allowing
can't be
you to go
less.
lower,
Right.
so.
So for the purposes of commercial shoreland harvesting what do you think about one?
I think it'd be fine. There would be some cases, probably like Jody, for example. If you were cutting, you got a lot of shore frontage that the forest
Yeah,
abuts up to.
yeah.
Uh,
Yep, that's true. That's true. But,
Some of those cases might be a little more clumsy, but that's really an exception.
And probably something that George would have referred to the state anyway and said, hey, what do you think? So, I mean, you know, if you had a big, she could argue that it's not commercial because she's just, you know, improving the shoreline, but if you sold any of it, then you could argue, well, this is commercial because you,
But at the end of the day, though, you guys would have had to enforce the same rule of the law
Yep.
that the state's that option one's gonna do anyway.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't.
Except we're not even involved in the process when it's
That's
commercial.
what I'm trying to
Right.
say. I mean, it might be a little clunkier, but the rules for the residents or the property owner doesn't change any.
yeah.
no.
The only thing that's gonna change is who you're gonna deal with.
That's right, yeah.
So,
And option two, you'd have to spell out an agreement, and you'd have to get that approved, and it just adds another step to the process, I think.
Yeah, Jerry, is shoreland, does it apply to rivers and streams?
What's that?
Does shoreland apply to rivers and streams?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
because we own property on the Sebastian River or the main stream. And there is some pretty big logging ownership of property on the Dexter side. And it looks to me like they purposely just avoid it. They just get to within, 50 yards and they just stop.
I think Great Rivers and Streams is 75-foot setback. And
Okay.
and selective cut in that 75 feet has to be cabled back to,
Right,
out of that zone.
yeah. No, they pretty much, I guess it's not cost, at least, they haven't been down there recently, but it must not have been cost effective because they just left it.
One of the benefits to option one is we wash our hands of a lot of that stuff and not gonna end up increasing the amount of code enforcement that it costs the town to do this.
Sure.
Right.
Right now, for what George gets, he has to do plenty of work, and he does a good job of filing stuff, and I just don't want to see us get in a situation where we got a $20,000 payroll for code enforcement.
Yeah. Yep.
anyway,
So, your intention is to come to us with something for the warrant and try again to see if the town will adopt at least the state minimum standards. And whether they do or not, we're still gonna have to follow it, but at least we'll have the conversation.
And I will get Dawn to draw up the boilerplate so you guys can see exactly what.
I'll talk to the board tomorrow night,
Okay.
tomorrow night, and make sure they're on board with option one. If they are, I'll just call them.
Okay.
but really what we'll do is there'll be an article for an amendment on our ordinance currently, and that just won't be in there. It's not an option to vote one way or another.
No,
The planning board would revise an amendment to your ordinance without that in there.
Right.
And that's what they would be voting on, is to accept the amendment.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not a option one or option two.
Right.
No.
They're not,
As
right.
far as the
vote.
Right.
Right.
No.
You
So
know,
we don't need legislative approval to go with option one on this commercial harvesting, is that fair to say?
I think we need approval to make an amendment to our shoreline zoning ordinance.
Which didn't pass. Last time.
We don't have.
There's a piece
Yeah,
in
which
there.
we've never adopted.
No, it's in there,
Oh, I thought Jerry told me they didn't accept it.
20 years ago.
Oh,
it's one of those
Oh,
ordinances
okay.
we have not updated as.
since 2020,
Correct.
since 2000,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
So that piece is out of date, there's something in there that, and actually that's, I mean, you're updating from 2000, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
There may be more other changes that you need to make that may be more to talk about than worried about this piece anyway.
yeah, we'd have to get a copy of the plan of what we go over it, mate.
Yep.
But it's gonna need to be at least as strict as the states, and I don't see many cases where we're going to be any stricter.
No.
no, it's just interesting, I think it's a little confusing to people that if they don't adopt it, it still happens because
Right.
it's the state minimum.
That's right.
Right.
You still have to follow it.
Yeah,
You gotta follow the state minimum.
so I mean,
I
it's,
think the only thing that happened was in 2000, I think it was 2012, when they actually passed this forestry thing it gave you options. They just didn't make you phone in and say, we chose option one or we chose option two. They let us just kind of,
The state didn't make people weigh in and say, this is what we're doing. This is what-
now they're like,
Now they're saying
we
you have
want an
to.
answer,
Okay,
these are your options, pick one, and
okay.
let us know.
pick your poison.
Yeah.
I don't know how the new one would look. One of the reasons it didn't pass before, we had some larger landowners that had some boggy woodland that just like to harvest and make use of that. And in the 2006 shoreline amendment to the Shoreline Zoning Act, there was a lot of vernal pool and wading duck things. It's my understanding, based on what you gave me, a lot of that's been heard out of
Yeah, I think so.
shoreline zone,
Huh.
and this will become the forestry,
Which makes more sense.
which would, in theory, make it a lot easier to pass.
Right,
Yeah.
right, a little cleaner, just simpler, easier to understand.
So you don't need an action from us tonight?
No?
Okay,
Very good.
thank you, Jerry.
So
Thank you.
what we will do is we'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll get Holly to make sure they're on board with option
Okay.
one.
Do you need a copy of this email? Just in case
Okay,
they want confirmation that,
okay.
How quickly can you get that boilerplate for the new shoreline zoning you was talking about for Jerry to review?
she seemed to think she could do it fairly quickly once I got an option 1,
Okay.
2, or 3.
Good. Well, I just think that would be helpful if you can get something that's revised to look at.
I think she has it, what she has
Okay.
to put in is, 1, 2, or 3, and what that does to the boilerplate.
But that person would tailor it for the town of Sangerville, all the language would be in there for us.
I'll ask her.
It'd be nice if it didn't specifically verbiage it as option 1 or 2.
No, I
It would
wouldn't.
just be that language, not as an
Yeah.
Yeah,
option.
that's a good point.
Right.
As soon as you throw the word option in there,
Why didn't you read the other
yeah, why
option?
didn't you do this instead?
Yeah,
And
I don't think.
if you get rid of that and just verbiage what it's actually doing or saying.
Like you said, amendment. This
Yeah.
is our amendment.
Right,
Yep.
make it cleaner.
Thank you, verbiage, okay.
Because we wanna get something to approve and get it to you, then we have a public hearing on that.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know when town meeting is.
We don't need.
we don't need
You
it.
don't?
But, as I
Not until it's legal.
Yeah, we can't.
have more than 50 people,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But it looks like that's gonna happen sooner rather than later, so.
Hopefully.
We'll get on
We will.
that. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Jerry.
Okay. Travis is not here yet. I told him 5:30ish. He said he'd be here between 5:15 and 5:30, so we can
Okay.
keep.
Want to jump to your abatement?
Oh, yeah.
Sure. There's an abatement in front of you, and you can just read it into, as a motion. It's for George Newt. That's the amount.
Okay,
I originally removed him from the homestead list, and we tabled it when we came up for abatement, and upon further reflection and research, both Josh and I recommend that you give him the abatement.
okay. So,
I'll make a motion.
you want to read it?
Sure.
Thank you.
So I would like to make a motion to grant George Newt an abatement, which is the recommendation from the assessor's agent for map and lot 31101. Do we want to say the amount?
Yep,
For $421.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? We vote. All in favor?
Do we have to sign this? Or no?
I think we do,
Yes.
there's lines on there.
Okay.
Why don't we do the appointment? That's also easy,
Okay,
but it's new business. When Lorna was we were gonna do Gary Sudbury and Bob Pensiero, and Lorna was reading up on how to specifically do this. All of my appointments were put on one page, and I did one oath. That's not technically the legal way to do it. And so I'm asking you to appoint me as each of these again, and then you'll have to sign separate pieces of paper, and I will have to take the oath multiple times, and so that we can get that.
Oh, so you have to be appointed to each one of these?
Yeah, and some of them
Rules.
don't expire until I'm no longer that person, and then some of them, like the local health officer, is a 3-year
I see.
appointment. But because we don't have the
Individual.
separate individual paperwork, I would like
Yeah, you don't have to
those
say.
appointments. The other one is, our town clerk, Lynn Bell, is the registrar of voters. That has to be done every 2 years. Her term is up, so we need to do that. And Gary Sudbury needs to be appointed as animal control.
Okay,
I
so,
can appoint Bob Pensiera as sexton, and we can take care of that in the office. When George returns, can talk about code enforcement. I just gave Jerry a letter because several of his planning board members' terms expired, to see who's still going to is interested in serving, and we'll get those updated as well.
so should I make a motion?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would
right?
read those appointments and,
Should I?
yep, go ahead.
What, right?
You can do it all in one. I was.
Yeah, I
You
don't have
can
to
do
make-
it all. You can do it all in one, but the paperwork
Sure.
Yeah,
has to be
yeah.
separate.
Right, so I'll make a motion to appoint Bridie Armstrong as town manager, treasurer, tax collector, road commissioner, E911 director, superintendent of cemeteries, and local health officer. Make a motion to appoint Lorna Bell as registrar of voters, and make a motion to appoint Gary Sudbury, animal control officer.
Second.
Any
One,
further
2, and
discussion?
3.
Yeah, second.
My only question,
Oh, some
Oh.
further discussion?
no, I do have a question.
Good.
We have to, I'm confused why we appoint for town manager, because then,
A hired.
that's what I'm saying, that's why, I'm not, don't take this wrong, I'm not questioning it. I just didn't realize where it's a hired position, you also had to appoint, but,
I think I have to take an oath why it's on there.
I don't remember doing it.
I don't ever remember doing it, that's why I'm,
But all the other ones are appointed.
Yes.
Treasurer,
Yes,
yeah,
but
you're
I'm-
right about that.
Let's
I-
take it off
sounds clunky.
and actually replace
Doesn't make
it
sense.
with general assistance administrator.
Oh, we found one, there we go.
Okay,
GA.
Yeah, that's a good one to be there instead.
so.
So you wanna amend your motion?
Yes, I'll amend my motion to make Bridie Armstrong, appoint Bridie Armstrong as general assistant officer, administrator, and, remove my appointment for Bridie Armstrong as town manager.
My second your amendment to your motion.
Any further discussion? None? We vote? All in favor? Come on in.
All right, guys.
No, you're good. We jumped around.
Hello, hello?
Hi. So I'm Tramp.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. You guys can sign in, there's agendas there if you want one. And we were just dealing with some things, but we were waiting for you to show up. And you told me who you were bringing in, I can't remember his name.
Greg Hathaway. He's my superintendent operator of the transfer station, just so if you guys got any questions.
So we're back to 5B.
Solid waste.
Solid waste
And we have gas.
contract.
Yes.
Last meeting, I came forward with Dover Foxcroft's new proposal for what they were going to charge us. You asked me to reach out to Dexter again. I sent you the numbers, but I thought if I could have Trampus here, he could answer any questions, and we could.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you
Mm-hmm.
spending the time to come up here and getting back to us. And I know we kind of put you through this a year ago or so. So it's just something we've been tossing around for a while. So, and we really don't have a lot of discussion on the record about this.
Nope. Well, we haven't recently.
Yeah, it goes back to a year and a half.
Yep.
And you see, we're open 5 days. Those days we're closed right now. We're Sundays and Fridays. 9-hour days when we're open, so gives us time 8 to 5. It gives people time to get in and stuff like that. We're not here to take the business from Dover. We never play that. We let people, towns come to us. We're not out seeking it, just so you guys know. We let you guys come to us and stuff. We did seek Garland. We still try to get Garland. I can't get them. How many times they usually think, I probably gave them the 17 years I've been in the part of this business, I probably given them 5 or 6 different bids on it, and I just can't get them, and save them 10%, and they won't do it.
Huh?
They're open only 4 hours on a week, on a Saturday, and I can't. We're probably getting half the trash, so they're probably getting a great deal right now.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
That's what, we figure if we get them, then we can at least control it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Guilford comes to us, you guys know that. This year here, just to give you the reason why the price went up, we had a huge increase in trash, and this, between Guilford and everybody. People were home, they were bringing trash in. So we have to adjust for it a little bit, and that's why some of the increases. But I did give you guys, told you guys to keep the rebate, because it's gonna come to you guys anyways. I said, keep the rebate out of the thing, just in case. And who knows, that rebate might increase later in the future, because if the recycling prices keep going up the way they are, you might be getting a little bit more money once new company starts running it. So, and that's the other heartache right now we have too, so, is that new company is holding us, kind of holding us hostage a little bit, because they're not taking it right now. We're sending it to landfill, so.
Where are you sending it?
Send it to Norwood, down to Waste Management and down there, so. Yeah, we're on the southern end of everything, and we have such a big impact on trash amounts. It was easier just to tell us to send it there than to tell 7 small towns to send it down there, so that's what they did. Everybody else is sending it to Perk, so, yeah.
I have personal experience. I had a cousin who owned a piece of property on the lake there, and so we had a permit to go there, and it was really well run and just really professional and clean.
It's good spot.
Can you
Super.
tell them about the size and your plans for increase, and how you're gonna take care of when you have to close your...
Landfill and stuff.
Yeah.
Right now, we're trying to, we've been trying to expand it, and we should be okay now to do it, to add another 30 years to it. We had 30 years on the first original one, and we've been 30 years, but we still got about 5 to 7 years left on the months. We stopped putting things in there back in the days that really put a lot of more stuff, like furniture. We stopped putting furniture in there. We can't put drywall in there now and stuff. How I'm doing it with it, we have to close it. We've got money set aside to close ours already. Okay, so, or the expansion, what we're gonna do and stuff. We've been saving that money for 30 years, so we've got that figured in. What I did is, when I figured the amounts that we're gonna charge you, I have a set aside of money that we're gonna make out of it, and some of that money will go towards our landfill closure, so it's in the mix right now. So, that's all it is. It's nothing.
So it's nothing that's going to hit us
No.
30 years down the
Right,
road?
so when it's time for closure, there's not gonna be a, hey, Sangerville, you're 7%, you owe us X.
No, that wouldn't happen that way. Exactly, like it did this year here. We bought a new loader for the facility. We didn't go after Guilford and Cambridge, which are contract towns. We paid for it ourselves out of our 5 towns, because we're contracted to do this stuff with you. You guys are just sending it there because you're paying the bill, and that's it. So that's our landfill. So that means you have no say in what we do there either. So we can do,
We're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So I mean, our 5 towns are the ones who control any decision that happens in that place.
So what are the 5 towns that are?
Dexter, Exeter, St. Albans, Ripley, and Corinna.
Okay,
So that's why we said we wanted Garland, because then we have everybody around us.
sure.
And then we don't have that bringing in from other towns type of thing.
So.
So once we started charging for some landfill stuff, drywall, shingles. Once we started charging for that, we noticed that the stuff coming in slowed right down, because we were the only place that weren't charging. So once we started charging, stuff dropped down. They started taking, hopefully, to the right place, not taking out the back 4 of the area.
So then the towns that are just contracting to come in and use are Guilford?
Guilford and Cambridge, and then if you guys come in. So we've had Guilford for 17, 18 years,
Wow.
and Cambridge, I think we got them just before Guilford, about a year before, so, yeah. So,
And as far as your recycling, is it the same criteria as
Yep.
Dover?
same criteria, everything they recycle, we recycle. I don't know if they do we don't do PET, which is your clearer plastics. We just do number 2, which is your milk jugs and laundry detergent, oil jugs. We do those, we don't do the PET. That's the only thing we don't do, I think that they might do.
Yeah, they do.
So, other than that, we got a metal pile, wood. We got everything else, compost, and we got I don't know how good their compost is, but ours is pretty good. We've had a lot of compliments on ours, so. So we have compost we give to people, we load it up for them on the truck if they want, and stuff like that too. So it works out well. We get rid of it and it works out well, so.
Sure.
Just one of those gifts, hey, you guys, residents, here you go, anybody comes in, they can take it, so.
How do you figure our tonnage? Because I know you don't.
I go by people and then we go by, size of what the town is, what they have for stores and stuff like that. And I told her, I asked her, because I had it priced, and I don't know how you probably sit there and go, how'd you figure it out?
Okay, yep.
And I had it only figured at around 700, but I said I added 50 to it, so it's 750, just because we had that increase in volume from all of our other towns this year. I just wanted to make sure I covered that. And she said you got billed for 725 last year, so I'm right there in the ballpark without even. I've done a lot of these.
You did.
So, and I pay attention to what the towns are out and stuff too. So, but that's how I figured it and stuff. And so what we do is we take the bill, we take our total budget, and say this is how much it is. We subtract. We have certain things we subtract ourselves, like our payment, our bills and stuff like our loan payment, trucking and perk stuff. I take that out. So I bill you directly for the $750, bill you for the trucking from our facility, and then there's a set amount of money left over to run our facility. You guys would be 9% of our facility, and that's what I charge you, 9%. And that's how it comes down. I can see how much we're gonna make from it, from the other stuff, and then we can break that into where we wanna put that money to go towards. So, like I said, I would take some of that money we make, put it towards a landfill, some of it to miscellaneous stuff, and work it that way, so.
So when I broke down the figure Krampus sent us, the 107, 768, 67, and did it by 750 tons at $73, because that's what you were quoting, and I got a price. I put that into Dover's so that they were comparable. And the price that Krampus gave us for the actual contract and the price that Dover gave us, they're $340 apart.
No.
They're not.
No.
Except,
Yeah.
except we're not closing his facility 30 years from now.
And the other thing, what we
Right.
do for price is what the price is. We're not gonna tell you at the end of the year and say, oh yeah, you gotta give us, that's not, we did the same thing with the Guilford. We've been doing this for a long time. You pay a monthly fee. The key thing for us is to make sure we are right at the beginning. We gotta know
Sure.
if something changes, we gotta be able to know that and stuff. Other than that, we eat it. If it's wrong, it's wrong. So that's how we do it. And Guilford went up this year a lot because they hit us with Puritan. And Puritan doubled, tripled what their waste is coming in. So I had to adjust it with Guilford. I said, you guys, I'm gonna have to increase you guys quite a bit. And they didn't balk at it or anything. If it starts dropping down, we'll retalk. But last year we ended up probably paying for more than what we got probably more than we figured out. This year here, I got it, so hopefully we cover everything that's cost us. So your payment, we're gonna tell you in January, this is gonna be hard because you guys have your budget. I'm gonna tell you in January what the bill is gonna be for the year. And I said this one, we increased it over a lot just because of Puritan, and we increased them 15%, but we didn't have a choice. You guys have 750 tons. They have the same amount of people in Guilford, and they're probably gonna do 1,500 tons. So that's the difference. So you guys gotta remember that. That's a huge increase. But they have industry that they want to pay for. They could tell them at Puritan, say, no, you're gonna pay for your own trash, and then come renegotiate with us, because we wouldn't get that trash. But they want to pay for it, so that's why they're paying that cost. And something, if I was a leader of that town, I would say we're paying for it too, to keep them there.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
No, it all works out.
Yeah.
They're
That's
paying.
true.
yes, exactly. They're paying for it, so they're paying for it in their taxes, so.
The rebate that you mentioned, what do you think that's gonna amount to?
Nothing. $3,500 this year.
Oh, well,
you guys.
okay.
So-
But we don't get that now.
Yes, we do.
Oh, we do?
We
So
do
it's a wash.
from
It's a
Dover?
wash.
Yeah.
From Dover, we do.
We do.
And I thought you can just keep it, then we don't have that check go back and forth. I'm chasing Guilford's, and it's a pain in the butt. So if I just put that in the price and I didn't, so what I do, that's the difference. You take that cost off your trash, your tonnage, and so Guilford ain't paying the 73, they're paying the $5 less. So they're paying 68, but I take I get their rebate.
Rebate.
Oh.
So instead of doing it that way, I just said, just keep it, and then we're not doing that, I'm
Yeah, we're not
we charge
taking
you
it.
73,
Yep.
so. So every year, you gotta remember, it's gonna be a CPI thing coming through, okay? The CPI thing is gonna raise that 73, it's gonna go up a little bit every year. This year here wasn't much, maybe 80 cents. I think it
Ours
was.
went from 71, MRC said, let's see, 70, I didn't write it down, 71.43 to 72.28.
Yeah, so it didn't go up that much.
No.
But that, I've seen that go up $2 too, so you guys gotta remember that, that's come into play. In the 17 years I've been there, I've seen it go up $2 in 1 year. So, but usually it's about a $1.50. So, I'm not saying it's gonna go up like that every year, but it does change. It all depends on what the economy's doing and what that CPI is set at, so.
So we pay you instead of MRC?
On
So,
what?
well, like you gave me the quote of 107,000, so
Yep.
you're gonna break that down into 12 payments?
I'm gonna break,
And
whatever
I-
this year, whatever you guys, when you guys start, we'll break it right down into that. So if you guys start, and say if you start in May, you're gonna get, you know, 8 payments
Yeah.
from May on, so.
Because right now we have 2 lines in our budget and we pay MRC directly.
Yeah, no, I'll tell them to bill me directly on it and we'll pay them
Okay.
right off ours. Because I'm not gonna be able to separate trash. I
Right.
can't say,
Well,
this truckload is Sangerville, I can't do that. I don't know how Dover did that. I don't know how they.
Well, I just, you know,
Yeah.
the truck drives up from Dexter up Silver's Mills Road, down the French's Mills Road into Sangerville. I really wonder where it all ends up,
Yeah.
but
And we
it
say-
probably all evens out maybe,
Yeah,
but,
yeah, and we do the same thing, we wonder the same thing sometimes, we watch them come in, bolsters, I don't worry about trash buses as much as I worry about bolsters because of, so, we do let, trash buses go up, they keep track of the trash, and they go to, Robinson's only wants one trash hauler.
That
So
makes
they
sense.
have all those ones up towards Greenville and all that stuff, they haul it all to us, and they just keep track of that, they pay us separately for that. That's one of the things we do separate for them, so.
you get that space there on Route 7 where Sangerville, Garland, Dover, and Dexter are all
All come
within
together.
one. It's pretty hard to believe they're all going in different directions. But
Yeah,
do all the towns issue the window sticker?
we buy the stickers and we will give the town the stickers, so you guys can sell them and keep, we're gonna charge you 50 cents a sticker.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna bring, say, 150 stickers up to you, we're gonna charge you, 30, whatever it is, $75. Okay, and then you guys, we charge we make them charge their residents $5. You can charge them whatever you want, but if they're gonna come to us and say, we want a sticker from you, we're gonna charge them $5. So I tell the towns, it's money for you guys. You know, so if you sell those 150 tickets, at $5, you're making money. So most than likely, you got extra tickets and we take them back, we will rebate you that money, so, yeah.
So we don't lose them, we just roll them over into next year?
No, we get rid of them, give you new ones,
Right.
they're gonna be a
They
different
rebate
color.
us back.
And
Yeah.
if there's 50 left, we're gonna give you $25 back.
Sure.
We'll kind of take it off the other ones.
And as far as a family household, as long as you've bought, let's say you have 2 dump trucks, or whatever, you have
2 trucks, we try, if they're gonna come in, what we tell them, if they're gonna come in 2 vehicles,
Possible.
if they know they're gonna buy 2 tickets.
Yeah, okay, but
Just
there's no limit,
No,
as
no.
long as that vehicle has
So he might
a,
have a truck, a car, and another, a dump truck,
Sure.
yes, that'd be fine.
okay.
So, there's no
So you
limit.
said you do a new sticker every year?
Every year. Even though it looks kind of funky because we have 2 years, we do it like registration. You're supposed to, when
Yeah,
you register your car,
yeah, you
you
get your dump
sticker at
sticker.
that time. So just like your registration on your car might go from August to August, that's what we want, but the problem is our sticker says 20 to 21. And people, oh, you get 2 years. Well, no, not really, it's 2 years. It's supposed to go registration
Right.
on that, so.
That, yeah,
That'd be kind
and
of-
back in the day, that's what Dover
There
did.
should be the question when you register your vehicle.
Right.
You need a dump sticker.
That's exactly right.
And the only thing they should say is like, if they say, no, I got one, I said, did you purchase it lately or did you purchase it last year? That's what
Right.
you should be saying.
Right.
You know.
No, we could even have one up, you know, this is the color for this
That's
year.
right.
Yeah, but the thing is, it could be halfway through next year too, see,
Yeah.
that's the problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah, so that's, and we have, it's confusing all the time, but it eventually gets.
You get people trained,
Yeah,
yeah, to do it right. Well,
All right.
that sounds, I understand it better now, for sure. I appreciate,
yeah, if you got any other questions, don't hesitate to call me or to email me or something, that'd be fine, I'm at my desk.
and you're open Monday through,
We're open Monday to Thursday, closed Friday, open Saturday. We did this
Wow.
back in the days, and the reason we did it for Dexter Shoe, because they didn't want us closed 2 days in a row. So we did it, and then it just stayed on, and when you start changing people, it's a mess. And they still show up on Friday anyways, but I mean, we'll go in and do stuff, and there'll be somebody at the gate.
Yeah.
Only day they don't show up is Sunday.
So Friday and Sunday are closed?
Yes.
Those are way
And we're
better,
open, and
better
we're open
hours
on
than
Saturday
Dover.
from 8 to 5. There's 9 hours open on Saturday.
Jeez, that's great.
But it's, just so you know, it's busy on Saturday mornings and stuff,
Sure.
and the afternoons ain't bad, it's just the mornings are usually pretty steady, so.
But you guys, it's a nice facility, like
Yeah,
I
I've
said.
never been there.
It's undercover, so if you're dropping off just normal, garbage.
Right.
It's a queue, you're all, I think you guys can take 4 or 5 vehicles at once.
Yep, 4 vehicles.
So you
Yep.
back in, there's no snow and rain on
You
you.
gotta know how to back up, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And people make a lot of mistakes backing up, so.
You can't do drive-through?
Yeah,
But I've seen, usually your guys are, you got an elderly person, the guys are helping them unload, it's really very, very well run,
so we run 2 people up at the trash facility, and then we have 2 at the recycling facility, and if we need somebody at the trash facility, we bring them up from the recycle, so. They stay busy. So it's 4 full-time employees, and then we have a lady doing our road work for us, so.
Great.
So I know currently where we are, doing the remodel and everything on the camp,
Oh,
when we're hauling debris into the Dover facility, what we end up having to do is you pull in where it's dirt, and my wife actually has to get out of the vehicle and sights behind to try to figure out where's the least amount of nails.
yep, yep.
And that's how we got
And
there.
that's tough, it's tough because of course people don't go back up, throw it on the
Sure.
pile, they back up 20 feet from the pile, and they'll throw it on the ground in
Yeah.
front, and then we go up there and we end up pushing it up and stuff, so that's.
But is that a dirt spot for you
That's,
too?
our wood pile's dirt, yes.
Yeah.
But when you drive in, we're all tarred in,
Mhm.
we gotta put some patch, we got a couple of holes and stuff. Well, hopefully in the next couple of years, we're gonna repave it if diesel ain't $6 a gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna pay, but it's all driveway, it's all tar, so when you come up, your trash, your recycling, your metal pile, and your compost area is all tar. When you go to the wood pile, that's dirt, and when you go to landfill, it's dirt. So when you come in, if you had demo debris and stuff like that, you would go across our scale. We have a scale right behind the building, and that's how we measure our what you're gonna charge you. So it's not per truckload, it's per pound, and it works better for us that way, so.
Oh, so you weigh them on the way in and the way out?
Yeah, what you do is you weigh in, you drive around, you come up and say, yeah, we tell you where to put the stuff, and then you come back down, go back across the scale,
Yeah.
and we'll weigh you, we got your thing, and that's how we do it. If you have a little amount, we don't charge for it, if you just came in with
Yeah.
a couple handfuls of wood, we ain't gonna charge you for that, but the bigger loads, we're trying to get the contractors and stuff like that to make sure they're paying for their dues.
And that's demo, that's demo.
Demo, wood shingles, shingles, demo, drywall, we charge for, because we don't keep any drywall at our facility anymore, and it's gotta go up separate. Furniture we charge for, $3 and $5, mattresses $5, tires, $2 for tires and stuff like that. So all that stuff is special waste that we have to rehandle and ship out, so we
Yeah.
charge a little bit extra for that to cover our costs and
Yeah.
our handling fees and stuff, so.
Do you ever do free dump days?
We do one, yeah, we've done one every year, and we do it in May, usually do it in May, and what we do is
Oh,
we
we gotta
take,
sign up.
yeah, we take about 5 tires from one household, we take 5 tires, a TV, and a refrigerator.
Wow.
And you get one from everybody.
Yeah,
We,
exactly.
oh, yeah. Before last year was a little slow, but before last year,
Sometimes it's more than that.
yeah, we averaged between 150 to 200 TV monitors, and we'd get 1,000 tires.
Wow.
And we've never really got a lot, like 25 to 30 CFCs, which are refrigerators or air conditioners. Last year, we had a huge run on air conditioners last year. We usually average, in a year, we'd probably average like 50. And if we didn't get 300 ACs last year, and the reason is people putting heat pumps in.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we got about,
interesting.
I guarantee you, if we didn't get 300 of those things last year, I'd be amazed.
So those aren't worth much on the used market now.
No. And we have to get them, we charge for them, because we have to have a guy come in and
Sure.
get free on out,
Yeah.
like Dover's same.
Oh, okay.
We charge $10 for them, and then the guy will come take them out, and then we can throw them in the metal pile. So that's how we make any money from it, but it's double handling,
Yeah.
so.
And do you have a brochure of for your dump or no?
Yes, and we can send it to her and we can,
Okay.
yeah, we have brochure folds in 3, tells you what we recycle, you know, times are open, number up there if you need to get a hold of somebody.
That's great. And do you supply them with a stack so that when somebody gets their sticker? they
Yeah,
get a-
they get it, any
That's
new person coming in town, stuff like that, so.
That's great.
Yeah,
Very, very good.
that's really helpful.
Very, very helpful.
So we'll make a decision
Yeah.
soon
that's no
and
problem.
you'll know.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys listening to us and stuff. Again, we're not here to solicit you guys.
No,
from
you
building.
did,
We
we
understand.
approached you.
Yeah, and me and Jack had a conversation last year, and we compared numbers a little bit, because I was kind of wondering where I was. You know, I was worried to leave money, you know, like, so he called me up and we talked and stuff, and I said, you know, Jack, they came to me, and I go, no hard feelings and stuff, and he's like, no, he goes, I understand, so,
Well, good.
okay?
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
You too.
Thanks, guys, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to jump around, Ray?
We might as
Well, let me,
Do you want to go right to revaluation?
yes.
Or maybe,
Let me just tell George,
I say, George, we,
you've got your abatement.
Okay.
We've been out of order because we've had several people
Oh, sure,
here
yeah, no, that's fine.
tonight for the
No,
meeting
no,
and for
that's-
specific things.
So, is the homestead instituted,
Yes.
okay. But
You
I
got it.
just wanted to say, I'm still a Maine resident, I registered voter in Sangerville, Maine
Registered
driver's
vehicle,
license.
Yep.
Car registered, insured in Maine.
Yep.
just so the the only reason it was ever a question was it was brought to us and said, this is what you should do. We did that. Tonight it was brought to
Okay,
us and
no,
said,
no,
this is what you
no,
should do, and we just undid it, so.
And I wrote on it, that's right about the exemption, it didn't have anything about days living there, this or that, it said if you leave for an extended period, at the time you leave, if your intent is to come back, and every spring when I leave, I always intend to come back, you know, but,
And we look forward to you coming back.
I don't know about that, but I just got that in the mail, and I'm like, geez, something happened, so, but, no, that's fine, and then. the
George,
other
it's
day I got
it's
my
my
thing in the
fault,
mail,
we'll
and
take care of it.
But no, that's great, and I'll,
Okay, so we can go to, number 6A,
Yeah.
Okay.
revaluation.
Josh is
here.
Just some paperwork for you guys to look at.
Thank you.
This last page is something that the state sends out every year. And this is what the state says your ratio is, which is 88%. If you look down here, they let you certify between 79 and 97% because they give you 10% leeway either way. So you're not that far off at 97%. However, if we certify at 97%, that means you're gonna lose 3% of your reimbursements back from the state. That's your homestead reimbursement, tree growth. So you will lose a little bit of money for reimbursements coming back.
And veterans?
We have to reduce veterans, homesteads, and tree growth rates by that 3%.
3%, and that 3% is that because 97 is 3% less than 100%?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to know where these numbers come from.
And what is that total
Yeah.
number of those 3 categories?
I don't know, until we commit and come up with a mill rate, I don't know what the exact.
Well, do we know what it was last year? I guess is what I'm asking you.
I'd have to get a hold of Riley and see what your check was for each.
So that way we'll know the
Right,
impact of
right.
3%.
Right.
So
So,
one
again-
thing I will say is we did adjust the waterfront last year, and them numbers are not included. So I'm trying to get the state to refigure this with them numbers so we can certify at 100% this year.
That should help us.
Yes.
What we
Should
did
take care of us this year.
easily, I would think.
Yes.
I would guess that you should be able to certify at 100% this year. But going forward, these are like the first 2 papers is the 2020 sales. You can see that we're looking at a 90% sales ratio. and the 2019 was 103. So we dropped 13% just this 1 year.
Oh,
COVID is,
COVID's kicking
yeah,
everybody's.
and it's happening in every town. I mean, it's not just Sangerville.
So, okay, so
Sales are
what's-
dropping.
But this is where, and I don't disagree with you, so please don't think that's
Yeah.
where I'm going. So even after we did our increase of what we did, lo and behold, right after that's when I bought the camp. And my camp, for what we're taxing at right now, for what my bank appraisal was at, it matches. I'm right on the money. Couldn't get it any closer if you'd try. If I gave it to you, I don't know if you'd have made it any closer. But, and this is where I struggle with this, because I know of 2 of the properties, per se, down on the pond that sold for way more money than what they were actually bank valued at. So where does that all fall in? You have a bank value, which is really supposed to be what it's worth, and then you have our tax assessment value, and then you have the number that somebody's willing to pay.
Right. We gotta go by sales, just what it sells for. Doesn't matter what the bank appraisal is at. If you look at insurance appraisal, it's even more than all 3 of them, usually. You know, usually insurance value on a $100,000 home, they ask for, you know,
Sure.
180, 200,000.
Yep.
So, it really has no bearing on this, as far
Okay.
as the state's concerned. It all goes by what it
Goes by
sells.
sales.
Dale, your property, the bank valuation, how close was that to our assessed value?
It was there.
So,
That's what I'm saying.
so they should all be there,
If,
in theory,
Well,
if yours was there.
I know mine was, but I know 2 other camps that sold for well over 100,000 of the appraisal,
Above their assessed value.
and of their bank appraisal.
Oh, okay, well, that's a different
Oh,
thing.
oh.
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
asked that,
Yeah.
because really you got 3 numbers here, and how do you correlate which is which to what we're trying to do?
Right.
Because that's what I'm trying to understand as we're doing this.
The courts have said that just value is the same as market value, so whatever
Okay.
that property sells for. That's pretty hard these days, because, 2 years ago, that camp probably would have sold for 100,000 more than we have it set at.
No.
This
it wouldn't.
year,
Oh, we've got properties that set for years, they're all gone.
Right, I mean, we've got quite a few, I didn't look at the assessed value, but I know on the market, $200,000-300,000 homes that like been there forever, they're gone.
right,
Yeah,
There's a lot of $50,000 homes that have sold for well over 100.
right.
You know, I mean, if it's for sale, it's not there anymore.
In normal times, it wouldn't sell.
Correct.
And that's what I'm afraid to, also, if we bring all these values up this year, trying to catch up with the COVID market, what happens in a year or 2 and when the market goes back down?
Correct.
And now we're stuck with high assessments, or we go back and bring everybody's value down. So it's kind of a balance game right now.
I know it's totally a shot in the dark, but I don't think back that much. I just don't see demand collapsing.
Right.
One thing that I've noticed is, obviously a lot of what's being sold is definitely an out-of-state market that's coming in. And with that, John comes up and buys a camp on the pond, and then he has all his buddies come up for vacation. They're falling in love. They wanna buy a camp, so, you know what I mean, or
Oh, yeah.
other properties
Oh,
or whatever,
absolutely.
so it
I
just
have
keeps
clients-
pushing this right out.
I have clients in Eagle Lake, Fort Kent, it took 3 or 4 more months to get there, but it's gotten there, and it's the same exact thing. For these guys from away, $150,000, they don't even need to see it. Well, yeah, I'll take that.
Right, find it online.
Buying it out, yeah.
There's so many people that are looking for a getaway, a plan B. We'll see, but I doubt that it backs up much.
Right.
Mine is not even on the market, and I've already had 4 offers.
Really?
You're hardly moved in.
Not even done yet.
They haven't even, no, I mean, they see us there and they know we just bought it and
Wow,
people stop.
wow.
And there's a group on Facebook for the pond, and there's always people on there looking. If anybody knows a camp, there are a lot.
And that happened in all ponds and
Yep.
lakes around. It just, going right out of sight.
Yeah, now people are putting flyer prices on them, just like,
Yeah,
who
right.
knows,
Well,
might
if I
be
can get
400.
that amount, I'll sell it. Yeah.
They're starting to do bidding, assessment, sales. You know,
Wow.
put it out there for bid and whoever's the highest bidder.
Wow.
And it's just crazy market right now.
So Josh, every year, I remember, I think you've told us that you try to do about 25% of the town.
We actually ride around and try to get everything, the whole town.
Okay, so when you do that this year, will these be moving up to reflect this, like this conversation we're having?
Not unless you wanna do a revaluation. There's two ways we could do it. And I don't think you guys should have to pay for a total revaluation, that's a lot of money. But we can do like a townwide factoring, like we did with the water, bring everybody up 20%.
Without ever, you don't actually have to inspect these homes, it's just a,
I would like to, like this summer, get out and inspect them a lot, go door to door type of thing. But no, I mean, the straight line factoring, and that's what a lot of towns are doing, it's a lot cheaper. You probably get out of it for like $5,000 compared to a full revaluation is more like $40,000-50,000.
So the straight line is you just a percentage increase,
Across the
Yeah.
board.
right? But how is that different from a reval? That's.
A revaluation is we would get out there and actually remeasure and list every home.
boots on the ground,
Oh.
checking the interiors, yep.
And
Oh,
where we've done a lot of the measurements, well, all the measurements on all the buildings, it really, in my mind, wouldn't pay off to do that. But that, of course, is your decision, how you'd like that done.
So, Josh, how come with, like Mike was saying though, and I mean, we say 25%, but I'm not stuck on that number, say
Right.
20. How come the 20% that you're redoing, you wouldn't reevaluate that to current market conditions?
That is called an unfair assessment. If you're gonna change everybody's values, the state would like you to do it to everybody all at once instead of a quarter of the
I
town
can
at
see
once.
that.
But why, so what is really the purpose of doing the 25% if you're not?
Well, there's a lot of.
Because I was under the assumption you do this 25% so that every 4 or 5 years you're kind of doing a reeval, but you're,
You know,
alright.
there's a
You're
lot
looking
of
for new
people-
buildings.
There's a lot of people that build without building permits.
Yeah.
But I mean, so that's actually what your 25% is doing is
Yeah.
you're just basically looking for the deck or a new garage or whatever
Yeah,
and assessing it for
Yeah.
what that is, but you're not actually
right.
doing the full scope. Okay.
And that's why we're able to ride around the whole town and not just the 25% every year. And we find, a couple $100,000 a year of stuff that.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I mean, I can just think of my own road and,
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, we don't really, you're supposed to get a permit, but there's no consequence if you
penalty.
don't, so,
Right.
I mean, you don't really need a permit. Do you ever use Google Earth to check?
Some, yeah.
Because I'm surprised at some of these remote, there's like big building out there,
Yeah.
and you would never know that unless you looked.
Yeah. And that's why we asked you, if you guys know of any places like that, to make a list and we'll make sure we go get it.
Right.
If you see something,
Yeah, I was doing E911 stuff and I was calling Josh, you might wanna go down.
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, we've
That's
been in
great.
touch and she
Yeah.
mentioned quite a few places that.
Well, I didn't realize, cause I was doing that when I looked on Google at that lot that was up in behind you by the town's property. that was for
Yes,
sale.
yeah, up near the end of Bean Hill.
Yeah.
Goes all the way across to you, actually.
Yes, but you get up in there, I didn't realize it, that road keeps going and there's quite a few camps up in there.
Yep.
In the same way in behind
And
you.
those are
on
the
other
last
side.
decade or so.
Which, I mean, I'm not saying they are not on a tax card by any means, but
Right.
that was one thing that, I mean, I drive around here all the time and I never would've thought, no.
It's hard on Google Earth because the place looks awful big and then when you get.
Oh, yeah, when you get there.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's one mentioned that was down by the brook we got to and, it looked big on Google Earth, but when we got down there, it was just
Wasn't
a
a whole lot.
prefab that somebody drug in that was,
Yeah.
$8,000
Yeah.
place that you don't get much tax from, but we got it anyway.
Just so I can, so let's say we went up 20%, essentially, our mill, and it costs the same to run the town, our mill rate would drop.
Correct.
Okay, so it's just a more legitimate valuation for your,
Right.
now that might affect our participation, our
Yes.
contribution to the county,
Yes.
the school.
Right.
So you really don't wanna get ahead of your neighbors.
That's another thing to think about too.
Yeah, that's what,
But
that
the
was the
thing
next
that,
thing.
the big thing to think about is we usually don't try to touch it at all until you start losing money. I mean, this year, if they run with that 97%, you're actually losing 3% of all your reimbursement.
Well, that's why we need to know what that number
I
is.
will
Which-
give it to you
But
tomorrow.
That's a
if you get that-
motivator.
If you get that waterfront on there, we shouldn't be losing this year.
Right, and
I
that's
would
what I'm
think-
trying to do. They didn't, these ratios that the state do are always 2 years behind.
Oh,
Okay.
jeez.
Okay.
We should be all right.
But it's something to think about, because, you know, I think it's gonna happen if the market doesn't change. You know.
Yeah, but it should happen to, I mean, it's, same thing's happened in Dover and Guilford and Parkman and so,
Everywhere.
yeah.
I mean, Parkman was 115%, they just went down to 110 this year, you know, so they're dropping.
Yep.
The only thing, the big thing that helped them was the windmills, power lines that come into the power station, they had to do so much value to that.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we picked up $11 million right there.
Yeah, we saw their participation in the county jump up too.
Yeah.
They felt that.
You know,
One thing I think is gonna hold this too, though, is if you go online right now and just Google it, houses for sale in Sangerville, or Guilford, or Dover, the volume of homes is not there.
No, there's no supply.
I mean,
And
I don't know if there's.
New
more in
homes are so
Sangerville.
expensive to, right now materials are crazy.
Right.
But if that ever, you know, got back to normal, I think you'd see people start building homes again.
Right. But as far as right now, I mean, supply and demand, there isn't anything for sale, so I don't see how the prices on homes are gonna drop for a little while.
Well, geez, you know, we talked to carpenters, they were 5 years ago, they was estimating at $125 a square foot, now they're up to 175, and talking to go to 200, and people can't afford that, they might as well go buy an old house and fix it up, you know?
People from here can't afford it.
I paid $60 for a sheet of plywood last week.
Right.
Yep.
It's expensive. So just something to keep in mind, you know, if they don't accept that adjustment, which I don't see why they wouldn't,
When will you know?
as soon as they get back to me. I've tried to
Oh,
talk
okay.
to them, I've sent emails, because I just got this the day I sent it to you, it was like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yep.
Okay.
That's about-
And I've been on the phone with them like 3 or 4 different towns, and nobody will give you an answer.
Are you actually getting to talk to anybody?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I
They just
didn't,
don't have an answer.
well, I have an issue that I've been trying to deal with the state on, and I've called every day now for about 3 weeks, and I can't even get hold of them.
Well, you just got a recording.
Yep. I've left a message every day for the last 3 weeks, and I sent an email every other day for 3 weeks.
I talk to these guys a lot with the property tax division anyway, and
Mhm.
a lot of them still working from home, but I got their numbers and.
Oh,
That's
that's
helpful.
good.
They do try to help, they just, right now, not until April 13th is when they're gonna have a class about what they're gonna do with all these assessments, because the state was talking about dropping, you know, the percentage down, instead of being at 90%, you know, letting it go to 80, because the market's just so terrible, but that hasn't passed yet. I'm hoping it does, that way these towns won't get penalized. If out of 20 towns I do, I've got 10 that's dropping below the 90% mark.
Well, we did, I mean, we did act, so hopefully, I don't know what else we could do other than,
I hope it
Act
works.
again.
I can just see where we're going to be, you know, there's gonna be a point here where the market is so high, you're gonna be, it's gonna get crazy.
Yeah,
It's gonna be hard for a lot of the people that are retired within your community.
The problem we're seeing now is it ain't just people on the water that the values are dropping. You know, before it was just water, but now
It's everywhere.
it's everybody. You know, I think you're gonna have to do some sort of adjustment, if not next year, then soon, you know?
yeah, I don't think like I said, it would still cost the same to run the town.
Right.
I think some towns, I mean, this is what happened coastally, is people couldn't stay in their houses
Yeah,
because
but no.
now they're living beyond their means and your property tax went crazy, but I don't,
And out reviewing, there's a lot of people home. I mean, they can work from home now, they
Mhm.
found that out, so they can work from these remote places as long as they got good internet.
That's right.
That's really what's driving it here right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people around here that have moved up and are doing that.
So if I go and I figure Trio's down at the moment, so I'd have to go in and play with it before I could. I figure the 3%, but I'm also gonna have to figure if they reimburse homestead at 50 instead of the 72.5.
Right. It
Into
should,
what we-
but that's out of our control, is that?
That's out of our control, but
That really doesn't have anything to do with this valuation issue, it's just
No.
what they decide to
Well,
do.
yeah, it has to do with the fact that the state doesn't have
Right, they should be doing
enough
it,
revenue.
they should be doing it 72.5, but again, and we won't know until the April 13th meeting where the legislators get together. I'm guessing that probably, legally, they only have to reimburse 50% of that, any exemption.
Huh.
So I'm guessing with all the COVID going on and all the money that they've given out, they're probably gonna wanna get back as much as they can and only give out what they have to.
This 2 trillion, I gotta believe we're getting some of this 2 trillion.
Have to be.
The city of San Francisco is getting 650 million,
Well, there.
just to help them get over the hump. So I gotta believe
Yeah.
we're in the,
It's just frustrating for the town not to lose. They would have to reduce your homestead, your veterans, and your tree growth at 3%, which will make your mill rate go up a little bit, or give the full exemption and lose the 3% on reimbursement. So that's the 2 options you got. You know, instead of giving 25,000 for the homestead, reduce it by that 3%. That's what the state is really saying they want you to do.
is reduce the homestead. Yeah.
Reduce, and veterans, and,
Sure.
Right, you reduce that 3%.
So we're not obligated to eat it.
right,
We can pass it on.
yes. Yeah. I mean, the town itself don't have to eat it if we reduce it by
Sure.
3%.
Uh-huh.
But the
We need to know what that number
the
is.
people in town still do.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Sure.
Biggest thing that will hurt the town is the tree growth. I mean, dropping that 3%, you got a lot of tree growth.
Yep.
You know, if you've got a couple $1 million worth of value of tree growth, 3% adds up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to absorb that is the mill rate increase.
Yep.
So I don't know, you know, think about, I don't know how much money you've got in undesignated funds, but that 3% could come out of there if you don't reduce everybody's values. So that's just something to think about what you do in your budget.
Well, we need to know whether we're gonna get hit or not.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's all good, don't get me wrong.
That's enough.
That was very informative.
Yeah.
So we just got that, like I said, like 3 days ago, so I wanted to get
Yep.
on top of it before I got a lot lower.
Mm.
I mean, 3%'s not bad to stiver, but when it gets up to 10, 12, then that hurts it down a lot.
Yeah.
The change that we make to waterfront, do you know what magnitude that will impact this? If we could see it, what would it look like today if it were on there?
I come up with the 101%.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. So that might be good for a couple of years.
Right, whether the state actually accepts that, and they should. Because one of the, if you look at that last paperwork, one of the requirements is a reevaluation has been implemented, and it really was. It was a partial reevaluation, which would be the second option. Proof required, well, and we got the proof, because we have the values.
Sure.
So that's the way I'm gonna go, and I'm hoping the state accepts it. But like, if you look at 19 and 20, I mean, you dropped 13% in 1 year. So if we drop another 13% next year,
We're gonna have to do something.
we're gonna have to be on top of it.
Yep.
Well, you just look at your home sales, 19 to 20 that's on here.
Yeah,
We'd be able to justify it easily.
103 to 90. If you look at the top number, I mean, that's 13%. But you wanna get on top of it before
Right.
this time next year.
Right.
Something you wanna think about this year. So it's kind of trying to project what the market will do. I wish I could, but I'm guessing it's not gonna go down,
I don't think so.
but that's just a guess.
Perfect. Appreciate it. We will deal with this for the rest of this year, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yep. And if you have any more buildings, the stuff will be up to you soon, so.
Okay.
give me a list and-
Almost right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Before you, how many of the towns around, are we like an outlier when it comes to not requiring a building permit?
No.
Like, it's pretty typical around
Pretty
here.
typical.
Okay.
Till you get into your bigger towns, you know, like Bangor, they hardly ever, assessors hardly ever go out and look at buildings, it's all done by your
Sure,
building
yeah.
inspector and,
Yeah.
you know. But most of your little towns,
Even the small towns down south, they were pretty strict about a building. I mean, you'd get the permit, but they wanted to know you were adding another bay to your garage.
Right.
And if you were building out there, code enforcement would, hey, did you get your permit yet? And it was, well, that's what it was all about, they just wanted to know you did it.
Right,
Um,
put it on the record.
Yep,
Yeah.
Like the building inspector we got in Parkman, I called him about a building permit, and he's like, go ahead and build it, and I got my permit after I already built it. Yeah.
sure.
So they're not very stringent on it.
Mhm.
Well, good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you, John.
have a good night.
You
You
too.
too.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah.
All right, I'm having a hard time.
I think we're still in old business, Brady, and we're, you have item D, town meeting and warrant governor's
Okay.
plan to reopen.
Well, yeah, the governor has obviously said that by March 24th, buildings can be open to half capacity. I talked to Pastor Ray, he said the rec room there holds, he believes it's a 200-person capacity, so at that point, we'd be able to have a meeting with 100 people. We aren't ready, so we have a bunch of things to get taken care of. In terms of warrant articles, I was going to talk to you about road status. There are at least 3 roads that we need to do things like set, whether we're doing winter maintenance, summer maintenance. Turner Road, it's both winter and summer. Jackman, it's both, I believe. And Knowlton Mills is just
Summer.
no winter maintenance, summer
Right.
maintenance.
Do we have any idea when that LD is gonna be going on the board? Is there any way
Don't,
to find that out?
I could probably call Paul Davis or.
Actually, if you log in, it usually will, I mean, it's not always accurate, but it does,
Gives you
you
an
can
idea.
track it really well, yeah, yeah. And they jump them around,
It'd be nice to make sure that Paul understands what that really is, and,
cause
cause I mean, it's not from our area.
no, it's, the whole state's been a cluster over this, and I'm
Well,
sure
that's what I'm
that's,
saying.
they're finally, it definitely is gonna be better if they adopt that. But that doesn't really affect these roads you just mentioned.
No, and there's some others that, the Eastler Road should be on there.
The Grange,
Yeah, Eastler because, it was constantly on a list of roads that were closed for maintenance every 5 years, and it's fallen off the list, and we haven't done it in a while, so if, God forbid, somebody moved out there, we could all of a sudden be looking at
a discussion.
a discussion of whether or not we're responsible.
No, and this kind of plays into the topic we just left. There's a lot going on with real estate. You just don't
That's
know when
right.
all of a sudden somebody says, you know what, let's build out there.
Yeah.
So,
It could be open. I mean, if.
Yeah, it might be worth it
Right,
to
I mean,
throw a few
particular-
yards of gravel in there.
sure, if there was a property and they was gonna develop a few really nice homes, it would definitely be in the town's interest to do something different.
Right.
so, we have most of the town report put together, but then the other big thing is the town hall. What are we looking to have something on the warrant? I haven't got any numbers yet as to how big the increase is, but we know both to repair it or to build, those numbers have gone through the roof.
Yeah, I think we gotta have legitimate numbers and then we can have a good discussion. But I'm sure you're right. I'm sure it's probably gone up by a magnitude of 25 or 30%.
Yeah.
But it's still, we still have to have a
The people I
discussion.
called are so busy, they haven't called me.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Like, oh. So, and I've had some calls about that. So I don't know how, even though a lot of the stuff is done, I don't know how quickly we can pull together a warrant and,
Well, what is the real urgency to pull together a warrant? The only thing at this time we actually have that as far as for town business, we
We
need
don't
to
have,
do is,
we don't have to rush it.
No, I mean, well, first, I don't think, even if the governor said, middle of next month, you could have it, I still think a lot of Sangerville residents are gonna be reluctant to gather until they've had their vaccines, and so I wouldn't, unless we had an emergency, I wouldn't press it. But that's my thought.
yeah. Well, we already know, we had a fair amount of people last year that tried to block the meeting because of COVID. So
Yeah, that was
I
before,
would
yeah.
definitely wanna make sure that if we're gonna have another meeting, we need to be on the better end of it, so.
Right.
If that's June, July, so be it.
Yeah.
Now, if something really pressing came up, like we thought we could get this building started, that would be different, but I don't, it's kinda, I think the insurance company kinda left us alone on this building because of everything that happened, so we're kinda treading water,
We are,
not a lot of harm,
yeah.
so.
And we really haven't had a chance to, I mean, we had last year's town meeting, but that's the only real discussion that we've had with a lot of public
Right.
participation.
Yeah, it was the first time we even floated the concept.
Mm-hmm.
And normally we would have, if we could have gotten together over the year, we would have had some workshops, so I'm inclined to just kind of reset the clock on that. I do think we should get numbers though,
Oh, I'm,
just to
Well,
know.
if we could get some numbers, I wouldn't mind getting some official,
Yep,
wanna call it a workshop on it, or
yeah,
add it to our meeting or whatever, but,
yeah.
I think it needs to be on the agenda, Newtown,
oh, I totally agree.
just to try to get some people to come
Start.
and start getting the word out
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
getting people to understand that this building is not getting repaired, so.
Well, we have three different opinions. One, we keep it because it's a historic building and it's our past and we should preserve it. One being, well, the insurance adjuster doesn't know what they're talking about and we can just throw a little bit of money.
Well, you'd
at
have to
it.
include all the engineers that also came.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And then there's those of us who say, well, a new, more efficient building would be very nice, and
But
we
the only,
could downsize and,
the people who don't think that everybody that knows what they're talking about, that's great that you have that opinion,
Right.
but that doesn't help us as
I
far as
know.
our insurance company and our liability. I mean,
yeah.
we clearly have this on the record.
And I'm right now filling out all that property casualty paperwork, and it has to be in by the end of the month. And it's far more detailed than it was last year. And so I think we're gonna see,
Sizable increase?
yeah, or, at least, okay, you need to do X, Y, and Z for us, and,
One thing that last year's meeting kind of brought, I think, at least to my attention and probably others, is there's no shortage of big, old, beautiful buildings in Sangerville that are either totally empty or in need of repair. Old churches, old theaters. So anybody who has an interest in preserving old buildings, there's plenty of opportunity here for groups to
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
you
So
know,
I don't know if anybody noticed it, but what was it, 2 weeks ago? The Masonic Hall in Milo, the roof caved in.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
Similar size building as this. I
Are
mean,
you kidding?
yeah, people actually, they were living in
Squatters
it.
were in there living.
No, the people that owned it lived
Well,
there.
those all, okay. was it-
Yeah, they were repairing it. They were doing renovations on the inside of it because they wanted to save this historical building. And they didn't wanna, from my understanding, or from what I'm hearing, is Darien didn't wanna believe the engineering experts,
Okay, yeah,
And-
yeah, love it.
it's built
worrying
with-
about the cosmetics to make it look better,
Sure.
and it just fell in around them. And I think
Wow.
that, the reality is we're probably not that far from that.
You better not find my office in the basement.
No,
That's
but I
right.
mean,
That's right.
that's how this stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
People's opinions, oh, they don't know what they're talking about,
Right.
and the next thing you know, the foundation caves in.
That's
That building stood for 100 years, it'll stand for
Yep.
100.
That's
Yeah,
right.
They know how to build them. Well, they did, but you gotta have to be able to afford to maintain them.
it's just, it's not any different than any other asset that we need to run this town. If we needed a 36-inch lawnmower, you wouldn't buy, some huge piece of equipment to cut that grass. Well, we've got this 3-story stained glass 200-year-old building, and we're trying to run an office with 2 full-time
Right.
employees, and we're open 4 days a week. It just doesn't make any sense.
What's the entire square footage of this building? and then you look at the square footage of the building that we use. I mean,
We're using a fraction.
yeah, that's where I was headed. I mean, I don't believe we utilize 20%.
The proof is in the money that we
I doubt it.
put in it. You brought us that data. It was jaw-dropping, the
Yeah.
money we've spent in the last 20 years here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, over $500,000.
Yeah, and it was we were supposed to spend that in a 15-year period, we spent it in a 30-year period, and we still have
Nothing to.
We still have a lot more that should have
Right.
actually been done and wasn't.
And we still have a stream that runs through the basement.
And we didn't stay up with the maintenance program that was contingent on all of this, all that as
And
well.
mice. and-
But all the money that we've spent, instead of utilizing the experts and the engineers on what needed to be done, we didn't allow them to control the project, and that's why we are where we are.
Right.
I mean,
So that's the
We
lesson,
really flushed $500,000 down the drain.
right?
yep,
Yeah, I mean, you paid for this 10-year or 15-year assessment of what you needed to do,
Right,
and then discovered however many years in that this is a lot of money and we can't
right.
tax people like this and get all this done and abandon it. And so,
Mhm.
That's why I have no problem. If there's a group of people that have a passion for this sort of thing, let's help them get started, and
That's
in the
right.
meantime, we
Let's
go
launch
on and
them.
run the town's business.
I was just thinking the same thing. I would love to have the Historical Society come to a meeting with a passion to repair this and try to get something going to do it.
Yep.
And let us move to a different location and run our town efficiently the way we need to.
Then they got the run of the place.
Yeah,
That's
they can do this however they
Fundraisers,
want.
whatever they want. But the last time we met with them, I got the impression, not only were they not interested, they actually were repulsed by the idea.
Correct. Yep.
So, we'll see what happens. We just keep marching ahead. Do we get it done this year? I doubt it, but we'll see.
the one
Worth
thing-
trying.
One thing we could look into is the grant for the park. If we wanted, but where we don't know what we're doing, we can't even finish that up. You know, we need a landscape architect to draw up a plan.
Yep.
It's probably, the money got tighter as that went through, so, I mean, we're no longer in the running because we needed it in by February, but
So it'd be another whole cycle now.
another whole cycle.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I would still like to see what we could do if we could get something to get it started on a warrant for this year.
Now, Brady, when you said that you've made calls and no one's returned your call, is that to builders? Who's
Well,
that?
I've been calling, I called Dustin Lander, because he'd given us, I haven't called like Herrick or Lawson's yet, but they gave us numbers down at the ball field. I reached out to Brian because he'd given us,
Mm-hmm.
and he and I were playing phone tag. He has tried to get back to me. I'll probably do that off just to send him an email. And I haven't reached out to Bowman,
Okay, okay.
but. And then
What about like, isn't there Arnold Construction in Dover? Don't they do a lot of garages and homes and buildings?
Not Arno. Well, Arno, you mean like Chris Arno?
The one that lives up by Brands Mills?
I mean,
Isn't there one out there that does that type of thing?
I don't know that one.
I don't know about Arno.
But I mean, for what we're building, I don't think we're in I think
Corey Littlefield is
there's another one.
working for me right now.
Yep, but I mean, for what we're looking for, we don't really need a Bowman. I
I
mean,
totally agree.
Right,
No.
yeah, no.
I think
no.
that's far above
Overkill.
for what we're trying to do.
Talk
We're
about,
looking for a really decent, well-made,
right,
and I mean, we're not looking for extravagant. We're looking for a nice structure.
right.
And I just don't, I don't think you need to go to that level.
No, if he can build a good 3-car garage, he can build his building.
Correct.
And we probably all know somebody like that.
Oh, yeah.
We should reach out. I know they're all busy, but they can at least give us a number.
Sure.
I'll talk to Corey because I'll see him tomorrow.
But you never know, you might be able to get one of these guys that's just willing to be more or less like the project manager, or, it might be him, but he might have 2 or 3 guys working,
Yep.
other contractors to help make it happen, because they are busy,
Yeah.
I just don't see the whole once it gets going, I don't think it's gonna take very long.
No, no.
Okay, anything else on that?
No, just that we need to start moving in that direction, not that we weren't anyway, but.
Town manager's report, number 7.
Okay, I've got all sorts of interesting things to tell you. Lien notices went out, so 30-day notices went out, and they'll come back, when they come back, we'll have 10 days to file them. Our town clerk is going out on the 17th and won't be back till the 30th. So the deputy clerk will be working her regular hours. We won't have anybody to, besides me, to work on Wednesdays.
Any idea how many liens went out?
Yeah, it was 124 or 5.
Is that
Is that
standard?
That's pretty
normal?
normal.
a lot of those in the third year, or on final, or however you wanna verbiage it, I guess?
We usually end up with about 100, and then I get all antsy and worried, and
They all come in
And
at
They all
the
clean
11th
up.
hour.
at the
Yep.
very last minute, we pull it out, and everybody comes in, and
It always
pays
works
off
out that way,
there.
doesn't it?
Yeah, wait till,
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's an awful number, and
yeah.
it turns out that it comes down to the last, I don't know, 20 that are.
I mean, how many total tax, I know, but how many total tax cards do we have, total tax bills?
It's over 1265.
10%?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Somewhere
and I
right
bet you
around
that 90% of that is less than 3 years.
Okay, so, the town clerk, everybody just hopes that she comes back in the 10-day period. We've arranged everything so that, like the warrants and everything, that should be all set, end of quarter stuff should be all set. Okay, during the wind storm, our flagpole blew over. I won't be fixing that till spring till we can get in there.
Out here, or, in
Out
the
of the
square?
memorial.
Okay.
The flag, the one that had the American flag on it.
So is it metal?
It came apart, I don't know, about 3 feet, 4 feet off the ground.
Oy.
Beth Rob picked it up for us, and she called me, and when I went out around, the fire department's flag was on the ground. Oh. So, those will have to be fixed. I had bathroom issues. I had to have a faucet in the ladies' room fixed because, when the librarian used it, she broke the handle off. While I hired Gary Santos, while he was here, we could hear water running someplace. And we finally located it in the mop sink in the back cubby, and it was actually running.
Like open faucet?
Well, not quite open, barely open, it wasn't a drip, it was actually running. So he fixed that, and there was a rusted pipe in the men's room, so he fixed that as well. Just so that I wouldn't have to call him.
It doesn't stop, it just keeps going.
Yeah,
But I thought
exactly,
you'd wanna know
Case
what
in
kind of-
point, right?
What kind of maintenance that we had gotten into. Let's see, what else is on here? Okay, we had a COVID scare. The librarian had exposure. Came in even with a negative test, but hadn't waited the appropriate amount of days to see if she didn't develop symptoms. So I called the head of the library board. She asked her to not come in until she'd met that 10-day requirement.
With COVID, last year the library wasn't really open at all, and the town still funded the library.
Yeah.
This year, we're already pre-approved, because we just passed the budget for this year as last year, so we're paying for the library again.
Yeah.
But where are we really at kind of on numbers? I know I drive by here multiple times throughout the day, because I always cheat if I gotta go to work, go to the other mill, I always buzz by. But I don't seem to see a lot of traffic in here.
They've closed the library down to 2 afternoons a week. and they have not opened it for patrons to actually come into the library. You still have to call in an order.
But how much is that really doing? I mean, because,
I think I may know one person who actually does that.
Well, set this year aside,
Yeah.
because we've done a little investigating here. We asked them how many card-carrying patrons they had, and the number was between 40 and 60. So we just went right with the middle. Now, this is pre-COVID, so it has nothing to do with what's been going on.
well, last year and a half.
Right, but this 50 was what they gave us.
Yeah.
So we are spending $400 for each card-carrying patron. Now, last year, they didn't use it very much, so you could maybe, we probably were up to $300 or $400 per book that was loaned, but last year was a one-off. But even if you go back to pre-COVID, and if we go back to, we're still looking at somewhere between $300 and $400 for each patron. I don't think most people would
It's
believe
absurd.
that. That's
like heating.
I mean, we could just, instead of funding a library, we could just have a X amount of money into an account, and anybody that comes in and want a book and just order it for them and be cheaper.
No, we could buy them a book on Amazon and it would be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But realistically, now I don't know if the rules are gonna change, but during COVID, I was able to join the Bangor Library online. I never had to go there. I didn't have to pay them any money, and I get all my audiobooks for free.
Wow.
I mean,
Holy
you can't
cow.
really beat that.
No, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
If you sign up for Guilford does ask non-residents, I think it's $20 every other year.
No, still. That's not 400.
But you can sign into the library at Augusta, main state
Yeah.
library, and borrow ebooks that way.
But we could.
Yeah, once
fund-
you're in one of those systems,
Yeah.
you can get your ebooks for,
But we could fund any resident that wanted us at any library and be way cheaper.
Right.
well, there are plenty of towns that are doing that. Benton was the one that came to mind because I was doing some research. So, I think it's probably within our purview to do this. I mean, we could say, we're not gonna spend $20,000 on the library, but we will pay for anybody to have a library membership within 100 miles of Sangerville. And it still will cost us,
Far less.
oh my God, we'll reduce our library expenditure probably by, $18,000.
So how do we move this forward?
I think we can do it. I mean, I don't even know that, because it's not that we're asking to spend money, we're asking to not spend money.
Right.
Well, I mean, the only thing you're gonna do right now and go into this area is you could wait until next year and not fund the library.
Well, if we have a town meeting in July,
We could make an amendment.
we could put it right on there in July and say, here's why we're proposing this change.
So,
And we have all the money to do it.
right, would it be better to have members of the library come in so we can explain to them why and what we're thinking?
Well, I think
I mean, do you think there's
ideally
any
we would have a workshop on this and have the
And-
discussion we
and-
just had.
And just crunch the numbers.
Yeah, just
Big
say,
whiteboard, crunch the numbers.
here's why we're concerned about this.
Yep.
They've been very forthcoming, they've told us, here's the number of patrons, we know what we spend, and we've all looked at this and kind of scratching our heads, and here's why we think maybe we should do something different, and then people can talk about it, and ultimately.
But we don't need a workshop, I mean, they could just attend any one of our meetings.
I just think if we had that topic, specifically that topic.
Right, and just see what the.
Let the library know,
And
they'll
level of
reach out to
interest
their
is.
patrons.
That's right.
It gives everybody a chance to, now, obviously, we gotta wait until everybody's comfortable coming in and talking, but I think.
Right,
at
but
the
I
end of
mean,
the
you're
day, I
not,
think
the
it's our decision.
library, and you're not talking that many people for the library.
Nope, I don't think so, but you might be surprised how many friends of the library there are.
Sure.
Correct, but as far as initial conversation with them, we could do that at any time.
I would be more inclined to just,
Oh,
Go
throw
big
it out
picture.
there, throw the big net and do it.
Oh, I think it'd be way better if you had the conversations with them on the front side than try to go the other way, but. And it would be better because we could have an open conversation with everybody and back and forth with it, it would be on the tape. There's a lot of residents that listen to this tape that would have would understand both sides of it. is all I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't, it's not, there aren't that many moving parts. You get 50 patrons, we're spending 20 grand.
I fully agree with you. If I could do something tomorrow and pull that 20 grand back and.
You actually could, I think.
You
You might be surprised.
figure out how to do it.
I mean, I think we've got the funds to pay for, library privileges.
And our library does not.
So how does that motion, how was that, do you remember exactly the verbiage of what that says?
You mean funding the library?
Yes.
I don't, but it's on.
No, but I'm just saying, that would be back to what we can or can't do. That verbiage really tells you what you can or can't do.
I got an old one.
That probably
I bet it's
says-
a copy paste.
Yeah, I'm
But it
sure.
is. But this is a really old one, because I was doing road research.
They may be different.
But if you just don't include it in your budget, it's out.
Right, but you would have to have something, because you're gonna have to
Well,
pay.
then you might come up with this alternative approach. Oh, by the way, what we would like to do is allocate $500 or $1,000
Correct.
to pay,
Well,
and then
that's
they would
kinda
vote
how
up
I
or
would-
down on that, whether they
correct.
wanted it or not.
Right.
I think all of our kids already, all of our school age kids are already members at Guilford.
Yep, they are. Anybody in the district.
Right. And it looks like, at least right now, all of us can join Bangor, at least, because I did it, for free. So I don't know what the status is in Dover and Dexter, what their rules are, but
Well, Brady's saying $20 every 2 years.
that was for Guilford.
That was for Gilbert.
Guilford, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
So, but if you live down my end of town, if you
Right,
want,
what
I don't know what
about
Dexter
Right,
charges.
you'd rather, I mean, for you, it'd
Right.
be way better to go to Dexter.
Dexter, right.
Well, it turns out it's Bangor, but.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying
Right.
geographically.
Yeah. No,
Same way
but-
with somebody who may wanna be in Dover. right?
So that's just 2 or 3 phone calls.
Yeah.
And so then I would imagine, we could put on the warrant.
Well, way back when, it said to see what sum of money, if any, the town will vote to appropriate for the library.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Way
almost-
back, but that's back in 2001.
That sounds familiar though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but we put a sum of money on the warrant, and they either approve it or knock it down. They never have knocked it down.
No.
But if we don't put it on there, it's not there.
Correct, we just have to come up with a number that we feel would be okay to cover.
If we want to
if we-
cover it, yes,
correct.
yes, yep. And
And I personally, I feel that would be my thought was, instead of being the 20, let's say, all right, we're gonna, whatever, put 5,000 there. If that's what it would take to worry, or
or
2,500.
you couldn't, you've only got 1,200 residents.
Fully understand that, but that gets you through that first year worry. And if you don't need it, you're not gonna spend it. And then next year, you would have a better understanding that, okay, it's 500 or it's 200. I just, as far as the transition is what I was,
Yeah, I don't think, yeah, I mean, there's an absurd number that we could come up with, I don't think it's 5,000, but
correct.
we can work on it.
Yes, but it doesn't need to be 20.
No.
All right.
So I think the ball's pretty much on our court on that. If it's just a matter of, I mean, it's cumbersome because we can't have a meeting. But when we do have a meeting, if we wanna present that, it's pretty much up to us.
All right, I have several other things for a town manager report. You had me check on FDIC and what happens when we go above that insurance. I contacted MMA, they sent me title and chapter and section of the law, didn't really say one way or another whether we had any liability. So then I contacted the auditor, and he said that, he didn't ask last year, but the year before, Lois had sent him a document from Camden National where we were, it's called a collateralization form, where we're covered for everything that we have in Camden. But he said that the credit union was unable to do that. So I called Rhonda, and Rhonda said, well, of course we can do that. And she signed us up so that we are now covered. The maximum coverage per insured account is 2 million.
Oh, there you go.
We should be good.
So
Yeah.
I have not located the
We get
Camden
anywhere near there, we're
National.
paving a lot of roads.
We're making a big mistake.
Yeah.
I have not located the Camden National form. I reached out to the auditor since he had it 2 years ago, if he could send it to me. I've gone through the safe. If he doesn't find it soon, I'll just call Camden National and they will call the trust department and
Well, good, I'm glad we asked.
get us a copy.
Good.
So we will be
So-
covered.
Good.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to have that from the credit union on the front side.
Yeah, exactly.
A not so good thing occurred with Camden National. Lois Jones called yesterday and said, I was just at Camden National and they told me I'm still on the cemetery trust account. So Warner called me and then quickly looked up our documentation. We'd included it when we were removing Lois from all accounts. They just missed it.
Oh, they missed it, okay.
They missed it. We did not miss it. But it has now been taken care of, but it's a little scary thinking of.
That would have been on them.
Yeah,
Yep.
their insurance, not ours.
And the last thing for town manager's report, I sent the fire department ordinance draft to John Hamer. He emailed me back and said it was much better, much cleaner. He completely approved except for one minor adjustment. It says that I appoint the fire chief on an annual basis, but he wanted it to say somewhere that the fire chief reported to me, to the town manager. So I sent that back and he hasn't sent it back to me, so I'll just have to see. Good. But I think we're pretty well ready to put that on the warrant. Good. So then I can move on to road commissioner if
Yes, time to
Yes,
switch
yes.
hats.
we want to do that. Plowing contract, I sent to you guys, Dale gave me some feedback. I redid it and sent it out, I don't know, does that look?
I would
better to-
pull the sand right off it.
You would,
Yes.
Yeah, it's a separate thing, I agree with them.
And I'd worry about the sand.
okay.
Cause I think I mean, you may have that one person that wants to do both, but I think you're really looking at two totally different type of people.
Contracts.
Yep. Now, if somebody wants to do a plow bid and they wanna say, hey, I'll do your sand and blah, 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 then, but I think it would be easier if you,
I will send out the
and the only other.
bids for sand if we can figure out about how much I want to ask for this year.
That's a good
I
question.
mean, you may wanna ask Chris his opinion, but to me, the top of that pile is still the top of the pile. I mean,
It is amazing.
It's been a good year.
I
Yeah.
don't think,
And
I would
both-
question if we've used a third of it, but if we have, it's not a whole lot more than a third. I mean, you still got the same. I don't know. I don't know how to calculate that.
Well,
There's still a lot.
we bought 2,150 yards, and it's, what, they're basically 12-yard
So,
trucks.
I don't know. I would look at Chris.
Taking it out at a different angle.
No?
They are, they're taking it out at a different, they're back further and they're coming in at a different approach instead of the way they always have been.
Sure, but the top of the pile is still the
Yeah,
top of
yeah,
the pile.
Right, but.
So the footprint isn't, you know what I mean? It's not like the pile's getting
Right,
down.
right,
right.
but they're
It's
coming
still-
down
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, it was huge.
Yeah.
when-
I mean, if the top of the pile is indeed still the top of the pile, and the pile's half gone, it should be 180 degrees, and it doesn't look, it looks like it's pie shaped.
No, it's still-
Now, if the top is eroded, that you really can't, I don't know that, but.
Yeah, it doesn't, I don't think we're right on the edge of it. It doesn't look like there's
The
much
other
there.
thing we could do though is we could buy 1,000 yards and
Oh,
see what the
100%.
pile looks like.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have
Right.
to.
You know, we don't have to order 2,000 to start with,
Sure.
right? And I'll bet you we buy 1,000, we're gonna be looking pretty good.
That's, but there again, I mean, we still got 3 more weeks, that pile could take a hit, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are the guys to ask.
Yep.
They know
Yeah.
that.
So we'll need to have Chris give
Well, last time I talked to him, he said we were pretty good, but he didn't want to jinx anything, and so
No.
wouldn't give me a number. So he and I'll keep talking about it, but
I'll talk to them.
The only other question, and this is solely a question, so
Yes.
don't, and this is why I'm thinking this way. If I read the way you have the quote written, or are we, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, that's why I want to talk about it. It's written in a way that somebody could bid on one side, the other side, or just in town.
Oh.
Instead of worrying about appendices and everything, should all the roads be listed, this is what we want.
I took it just from what we sent out last time, so.
But the reason why-
I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Because I don't really think you want to deal with 2 or 3
But I don't
people.
care, you can set your own route.
Correct.
I'll just give you a list of the roads,
Right.
and you can,
Well, you gotta remember how this was written over the years, because for a long time,
We had in town.
we did in town.
well, we
Yeah.
did in town, and we
Right.
did this side, so
Right.
the only thing we bid was that.
Yeah,
And then it was bidding that, and then bidding this,
yeah.
so
And
they
then-
the verbiage kinda stayed the same, and then we've gone to in town as well, so
It's the whole town.
it is the whole town,
Right.
and this is all the roads that we want you to plow, and this is
Right,
how
and
long.
that's that.
So
Right.
I just,
So maybe take out the designations
Yeah.
of,
unless you guys think
East
there's a
side.
benefit to leaving it out there so that multiple people could do
No.
for sections.
No,
I
I
don't.
don't wanna deal with that headache, I don't.
Okay, I don't think we wanna do that, I want one person. and-
right, yeah. Keep it
It's all or
clean,
nothing.
keep it clean.
Yeah,
Yep.
So if I do that, then we're okay with me sending it out so that we can get some
Yes.
people.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
I would like to see who might bid and get that out there, and so we can be thinking about it and
Yep,
And
and
plan
get
it that way.
it put to bed.
I have set out for paving quotes, and I've asked everybody to have them for our next meeting.
good.
So, and I got, nobody's actually given me their quote, but everybody responded back to my email, so I know they all got them and.
Good.
Did you notice the paving company that, I don't know if they
Yeah,
bought, or they're
Cameron.
leasing that, Cameron?
Yeah, yeah.
Up there going up
Yeah. The old
TJ Hill there?
Tremblay's.
Yeah, the old trailer
Tremblay's.
place.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if they know they have some big contracts, they wanna use that spot or
I
something.
don't know, but that's been for sale forever, so I'm assuming they must have bought it.
Could have.
Yeah. I did see that the other day when I went by.
Mm-hmm.
And
They might be more competitive, they're
Yeah,
gonna
they
keep
right
stuff there.
local.
well, and I think that's kind of what we ought to be thinking about too, is, you know, what's kind of left, where's our worst spots, and try to, instead of worrying so much about this year, but think more about, you know, if we can get this much done this year, and then with a goal of next year,
Mm-hmm.
cause Silver's Mills is eroding faster and faster.
I mean, it's sad this time of year, but you're absolutely right, it's falling apart.
It's
Yeah.
going pretty quick.
Yep.
Somehow, I mean, if we don't hit that within 3, I don't think it's
And
gonna.
you're talking from,
From the
23
bridge,
to the
all the way to
bridge.
23.
wow,
I mean, there are bad spots and not so bad, but it's all bad.
It's,
yeah.
it's gonna be not grindable for too long. And
Wow.
we didn't grind it last time that was paved, and I know there was places that's got 8 inches of fill in it from last time, so, of shim. So, and if we don't, you know, if we don't get it before too much longer, we're gonna be in that kind of realm again, but
Yep.
I think there's something with what was there and the amount of, from the last paving, I think it's grindable, and maybe we can start to get a base,
Salvage it.
so, that's all. If we don't, we're just gonna keep going to nothing, but.
Well, I think you've shortened that span and it shows, and I mean, you know, I'm not here as much as I was, but the roads, what I've been on, like, wow,
They're coming.
they are, I mean, I think you're gaining, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna be long, where you're gonna be the same kind of money just on, you know, maintenance, not a full wing and bang, but, no, it's noticeable and appreciated, but, they've done great with the monies, I believe.
We've caught up,
Yeah.
and we're catching up,
I think we're getting there, but.
yeah.
Well, the problem is, I mean, everybody you talk to is, oh, you need a 20 or 30-year plan. Well, we don't have roads for 20 or 30 year. We can't get to, 15 is stretching it for us.
Well, I was impressed to discover that there had been a 10-year plan that ran out like this past year or this year, and most of it had been hit, except for the in-town streets, but that was all paving.
Right.
And nobody's paid any attention to the gravel
Right.
roads, so. Did I send all of you, or I just tell Mike that I found the line road
Oh, yeah.
agreement?
Unreal.
There must be something, if anybody could remember when we paved that, they must have renegotiated, or I can't imagine we paved a section, a piece of our section without
No.
talking to
Dover.
Dover.
Well, both half the road got paved, I mean, Dover side and our side.
Yeah.
And
George, you have any idea when we paved that?
Which end?
The line road from, up by Cartwright, so that 90-degree corner. Do you have any idea?
I mean, the one down by, over the side of the line.
Yeah.
Over, yeah.
And the East Sangerville Road, when it hits that 90-degree corner, it
Right,
becomes
yeah,
line
yeah,
road.
yeah.
And we paved, I don't know, a short section down to the starboard siding.
Right, yeah, it hasn't been that long. Chris could tell you.
I'll
I
ask
was gonna
Chris.
say, you wanna reframe what you mean by not that long?
Well,
Yeah,
it's
right,
been
exactly.
The last couple of years.
No,
Oh, you didn't know
no,
that far?
no.
Okay, no.
No.
Well, I'll ask Chris, he might know, because he's been plowing that side for a while.
Been done in 5 that I know
Okay.
No,
of. I think
but
it's,
I just know the first time, there must be some sort of agreement.
I wouldn't say that,
No.
because I think
I bet you found
everybody's-
what there is.
I think you'll find that everybody thinks that
There was
this
agreement.
agreement, that the length of the road is split in half, and this is ours and this is Dover's,
Mm-hmm.
is the way it's been, and
And I think it goes back to 1913.
correct,
To what you found.
So
correct,
from that corner down the starboard side, that's still a half a road?
yep,
It always will be.
I never realized that.
Yeah, half of it's on.
It's
Dover,
right on
half
the
of
town
it's on
line.
us.
Both
yeah,
towns.
So that,
Yeah.
But when we do maintenance a little over a mile in, and there's supposedly a granite marker that marks off where our end starts, and it's, basically cut in half that way instead of lengthwise, so,
right,
So they have the east side and we have the west side.
right.
yeah. But I can't imagine why we would have paved.
Because I think you'll find there's not many people would have questioned this. So, I bet you'll find that everybody else thought, the road's 3 miles long,
And we do have them.
we'll do this mile and a half, they do that mile and a half.
Right.
Not many other people would have said, the line's down the middle and we need to maintain.
You just paved Dover Foxcroft and you left your
Correct.
folks in Sangerville up there in the
Dirt.
mud.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
in
oh, so that's the
1913,
same all the way down the Shaw Road and everything on the.
Correct.
On the,
Yeah.
okay. So-
But I think you'll find that, you know what I mean? I mean,
They
plowing,
just
we
did
do
it.
it and we just do it.
Yeah.
We really should have, and honestly, I think we kinda got them because this conversation come up as far as the ATV access.
right.
and
Cause
we-
we would grant access, and
And
when we
they-
asked Dover, there's no, not on our side.
Not on our side.
Well, we could do it on our half.
There you go.
Just
Yeah, this is our
that
house.
half.
Right, they always have to stay on the,
Yeah,
So that's still out there. And again, the Turner Road, the Jackman Corner Road, and the Knowlton Mills Road all need to be updated in terms of what we're going to do,
Renewed on the warrant.
renewed on the warrant for
Yep.
maintenance. And I think there's probably a couple of others that should be on there as well, but that's as far as I got with
the roads.
the roads. It's kind of time consuming to find all of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Warren's gonna make a list and put it on the inside of the safe door so that, renew this,
That's good.
on the warrant so that, the next person who comes in.
Be nice to have it in the cloud too.
Yeah, that's exactly
Well,
right. So you just do a search and you know
Yeah.
exactly where you're.
well, there's no reason why we can't have a section of this right on our website,
Yep.
and then everybody would know, I mean,
Yeah, I'm working on what I can prove, clerk's records. We're gonna have to go through select board records because I know in terms of like naming things, you guys, the boards have named things. I've seen things where we're gonna change Honeywell Avenue to Court Street. Well, obviously that didn't happen,
No,
or we're gonna do this, this is gonna become this, and I'll be like, okay. So I'm doing some work on that. We do need that on the warrant. And I think that is all I had under road commissioner. Oh, and I did send that to MMA where we have deeded easements on those, and it makes it easier, and Richard Llewellyn said that's the best of both worlds. You just have to remember to renew it or not renew it at the appropriate interval.
Okay.
Good.
Correspondence.
Oh,
Request for additional agenda items? Selectmen's concerns?
No.
Executive session?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second? It's 7:05 and we are adjourned.